Hello, everyone, and welcome to my playthrough of Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song. This is a game that came out 2022, I believe. There was a lot of issues during the COVID time, which caused it to, come out with a later release than anticipated. I think it was supposed to come out at like 2020 or 2019, something like that. So this is a game I know very little about. What I do know is that it's tied to the 5th edition of the Vampire the Masquerade tabletop game. I've played the 3rd version, I believe. In terms of mechanics, I don't think much has changed, but a lot of the lore has. So I'm going into this fairly blind, not knowing any real updates on the lore. Even with Redemption, the first game in the series, I knew very little. That was kind of before my time. I was more knowledgeable with the Bloodlines, lore of the vampire universe. So this game specifically, all I know is that it's kind of like a murder mystery. You do play as multiple vampires, and to my understanding, there's very little combat. I believe there's no combat at all. It's very much an actual RPG, where when you level up your disciplines, it's actually supposed to help you in social or investigative parts of the game. So let's check the settings real quick. This game, the sound is very low. Okay, let's get right into it. The Boston Court is in turmoil. Okay, so Princess Quarter, September 4, 2019, 11 p.m. The Boston Court is in turmoil. Code Red Alert has been issued, which means a major crisis has occurred. Leisha, and Caleb are summoned by the prince. September 4th, Leg? Oh, Leisha, and Caleb, I see. Okay. Yeah, so this game takes place in Boston. I'm not sure if it's actually if it follows any of the like Boston by Night stories, or if it's its own thing. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, I don't know anything about the Boston Court and its stories, so let's go. Vampires walk among us. Unknowing, we've built their cities, fought their wars, and sated their hunger. For centuries, these creatures have been organized into rival sects, the largest of which is the Camarilla. In its domains, Camarilla courts enforce the Masquerade, a global conspiracy hiding the existence of vampires from the mortal world. Breaking the Masquerade is punishable by final death. In Boston, vampire factions have long been at each other's throats. After much conflict, Hazel Iverson, the new prince, has sealed a fragile pact with a group of blood sorcerers known as the Hartford Chantry. Okay. This alliance will not only provide stability to the domain, but will hand the prince the blood trade, the trafficking of blood and mortal victims that serves the needs of the vampire elite. Tonight, the undead will celebrate.
I'll just get this going. There, ready. We're all set. Now, to begin, tell me, what do you see?
I don't know.
Okay. Try this. Focus on your vision.
Yeah, but even the vampire logo has changed, like where it says vampire. Even that's changed. Leisha.
Did you feel it too?
Take your stuff. We're getting out of here. We've got a problem.
April Boss.
Call them back.
What's going on?
It's the prince. We must go quickly.
Princess quarters at 11 p.m. Hello.
Come on. Damn it. Hurry up.
Calm down. Maybe it has nothing to do with the party.
You know full well I was in charge of it. If anything goes wrong, it's my head on the chopping block. Fuck! Damn it! It took Hazel months to convince the Hartford Chantry to ally themselves with us. So they finally accept, and then bam, a code red. There's never been a code red in Boston, damn it! This has gotta be bad, MM.
Okay, so one thing I actually forgot to mention, the guys who made this game, Nacon, they actually made a game I've kind of played, I'd never finished previously, called The Council, which was actually a really, really fun game. I'm actually planning on covering that on the channel at some point. So, it looks like, yeah, you can answer questions in certain ways. So dialogue skills. In a dialogue, some answers require the use of your skills. Your skill level is compared with that of your opponent. The high rating wins. Cannot use a skill if its rating is 0. Willpower 12. Using a skill consumes willpower. If your opponent wins, you gain a few willpower at the end of the dialogue. Okay. So psychology or persuasion? Let's use... So she has psychology, she doesn't have persuasion. So she can't use it. So if I do this, I get 100% success. So she has nothing to hide. But I use up 3 willpower.
It's not like you had anything to do with it. I'm sure...
You don't get it. I was in charge of organizing the party.
But security is Jara's problem,
Yeah,
normally.
except Jara is a member of the Primogen. I'm not.
But you're a harpy. The prince will cover you. You know she's always looking for an excuse to take him down a notch.
We'll see.
What do we do next?
When everyone's safe, we move on to phase 2. We clean house.
We clean house?
What do you mean by we clean house?
Getting rid of our archives, our documents, anything that might betray our network and relationships.
So I think this means that it'll bring you back like to this point as opposed to continuing on with the conversation kind of thing, you know? Okay, so what's a code red?
Did you say this is the first code red in Boston?
Ever since the fall of London, protocol is no longer a laughing matter.
Whatever. They've been harping on that for 4 years now. They took away our internet access. Our smartphones.
It's called risk mitigation, that's all. A code red is an alarm signal that's sent to everyone to say, watch out, we're all in danger. And everyone runs to shelter at the nearest safe house. For us, it's with the prince. It could have been worse.
I'd have preferred worse.
You're not even listening to me.
What comes after phase 2?
Just pray that it never comes to that.
Come on, tell me.
We run, we leave everything behind, and we go into hiding, as far from here as we can.
There's no way I'm leaving Boston. Everything I have is right here in the city. It took me years to build my clubs. I've worked too hard to give it up now.
You won't have a choice. I know you hate coming here. Are you gonna be all right?
What do you think? I know how to behave, Jay.
Yeah, I know. Just keep your cool and it'll be fine.
Ah, my little darlings. You're here at last. The fear that something horrible had happened to you terrified me.
No call for theatrics, April.
The prince asked to see you as soon as you arrived, Amim. I wouldn't dilly-dally if I were you. As for you, Journey, someone's triggered a code red. If anything has happened over there, I'll hold you personally responsible.
So, dialogue disciplines. Vampires have supernatural abilities, usually inherited from their clan. Disciplines. Some disciplines can be used in dialogues. As with skills, the higher level wins. Not all disciplines are available to all vampires. Some mortals may possess certain powers. Oh, excuse me. Although most have no defense against disciplines. Hunger. Using a discipline generates hunger. Hunger has a value that cannot be exceeded. This limits a vampire's use of their powers. A vampire at their hunger limit risks losing control, attacking and feeding on the closest mortal. Okay. So I don't have persuasion, so I can't back her up. But if I use presence, I like how her eyes glow using a thing. So too bad it doesn't really say what presence does. So flatter April. Okay. Failure.
You know, back in the day, nobody could bat an eyelash without you knowing about it. You must know exactly what Jay is being blamed for, don't you?
Imim. My dear Imim. I adore you. Really, I do. But darling, please. You're way out of your league here.
Yeah.
This alliance with the Hartford Chantry is crucial. The prince is on edge. We can't get through to anyone over there.
What does this have to do with Jay?
She was in charge of the whole thing, for goodness sake. Listen, both of you. From now on, I don't want to hear another word out of either of you. The prince is furious. Journey, you're coming with me.
I don't see why.
And as for you, Hazel wants to see you. Right now.
All right. So we gained quite a bit of info here. Show goals, which is Q. Answer the prince's summons. How do I look at all that stuff I just got? Hang on. So Codex is J. Here we go. The Codex lists and explains many concepts from Swan Song and the World of Darkness. The main characters you will meet are also listed on the Boston screen. So clans. So here are all the clans. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these. So the Cameron and the Anarchs, the Beast, Bloodbone. Oh my god, there's so much. Okay, you know what? Let's kind of go through these clans. We'll just quickly kind of go through them. I'm not going to read all this stuff. If you want to read it, you can go ahead and pause the video, but I'm going to just read like the main thing here. Tonight there are 13 distinct clans along with innumerable minor bloodlines as well as the Kadif and Thin Bloods, who prouder and more powerful lineages reject. So, Kadif, we're coming up to it. Thin Bloods are basically, if you haven't seen any of my previous videos where I explained it, Thin Bloods are basically anything past, I believe, 12th generation. There's a higher percentage chance that their blood, that they don't get the disciplines from their clan. Because their blood is, the blood that's being transferred to them is so diluted that they basically become weak vampires. They're still strong compared to humans. Very strong. But compared to a vampire, they're nothing. And unfortunately, they can never be as powerful as, like a regular vampire. So Bruja, I'm not going to go through all that. They've always embraced ranks. They've always embraced from the ranks of those sympathetic to counterculture and revolution. They seek out allies who question normative ideas, recognizing the fire of the oppressed. They gravitate towards the underdog. Yeah, they're basically kind of like the rebels of the vampire clans. Common perception plays punks, gang members, maladjusted immigrants rejected by society that should protect them, and placard-carrying and Molotov-wielding rioters among the Bruja. While the clan definitely includes a substantial number of vocal and visible outsiders, their desire for rebellion reaches as deep as the fraudster ripping off his own company, the lawyer representing the poor pro bono, the neo-Nazi claiming to be alt-right, and the basement dweller downloading thousands of movies illegally for redistribution on streaming sites. Fledglings embraced to fight and protest are commonly known as rabble. They can be passionate fighters but also critical thinkers. Clan activists are often very different from the clan theorists. On many occasions, the latter are embraced from former gender studies or social students, those who have survived near-death experiences, and people who have in other ways suffered and endured great personal loss. The philosophical Bruja, known as Helenas, believe the best method of dismantling the establishment is to understand the social and cultural systems that allow it to exist in the first place. This is new to me. I've never heard this term before. So, Kadifs. Many kindred incorrectly assume all Kadif are created accidentally, that the clanless target no mortals for the embrace. This view is outdated and ignorant. These knights, the clanless, are increasingly becoming a force to be reckoned with. Though more disparate, individualistic, and chaotic than their cousins, they are all survivors, and they have begun to gather, build alliances, and make children of their own. The Kadif who seek out mortals to perform embrace generally target the strong-willed and those used to uncommon hardship. The Kadif's position in the hierarchy of kindred is at the bottom, just above the thin-blooded who should have not been born at all, and they are forced to fight for their place or fall and be forgotten. The Kadif see little point in embracing mortals unlikely to make it through the night on their own. So Kadifs, in case it's too complicated for you, they're clanless. They are not part of any of the 13 sects. Whether they break off from it, or they're kind of orphaned. There have been many stories where, let's say, a gangrel, embraces someone and then that gangrel gets killed, and they don't really know much about their own heritage or their clans rather, and they they go on their own. They're I don't want to say they're loners, but they don't stick to their tribes, as it were, their clans. It's unclear if the Kadif are their own clan. Because the Kadif are meant to be clanless, but I don't know if the Kadif there have been so many that they've actually become their own clan. You know what I mean? Like a group of, outsiders, basically. I'm not entirely sure. While the Kadif have begun to purposefully increase their numbers, most are still created when a fledgling embrace into one of the clan does not form an attachment with their ancestral blood, and does not exhibit the telltale signs of their clan's curse. When other kindred talk of the Caitiff, they tell tales of Nosferatu abandoned for weeks on end without ever developing any hideousness, painfully sane Malkavians, and young Ventru able to feed from whomever they want. Unwilling to accept such a child as one of their own, the clan abandoned them. Or the child senses in their blood that they do not belong, despite their sire's protests. The creation of a caitiff is not an exact science, and many abandoned children still manifest some of their characteristics of their parent clan, despite the absence of their bane. The bane is the clan's weakness. Every clan has a strength and a weakness. Bruja, for example, are they're generally more. I believe their strength is that they're more tough. They've got a lot more higher constitution, if that makes sense. But they're more hot-blooded. They're very hot-tempered. Nosferatu, for example, their bane, if I remember correctly, is that they can't get charisma past 1. Like 1 point of charisma, something like that. I kind of forget. I believe it changed in 4th and 5th edition, so I'm like 2 editions behind. Gangrel. Wolves, animals, ferals. Can Gangrel are outcasts, wanderers, rogues, and hunters. They make havens in the poorest parts of the city and feel no shame for doing so. They claim few domains as their own, but defer to no prince. If a feral enters a city, the prince will either accept it or have to fight the feral to get them to back down. Gangrel embrace from the ranks of survivors and fighters, leaders of prison crews and gangs, explorers, urban and otherwise, and any kind who see the world as something to traverse instead of something to hide from. Kind are humans. Kindred are vampires, kind are humans. They care not for looks or title, but for accomplishment and reputation. A child may be a challenge. A child, by the way, is a newly embraced vampire, basically. Or a sire and a child. You know what I mean? Like a sensei and their student. If such an analogy makes sense. But the clan follows rituals and initiations to ensure the fledgling is worth the time. Fledgling is a newly born vampire. Success means a new honored member of the clan. Failure means simply a forgettable reject or a pile of ash. Any mortal capable of projecting their will onto others, leading a group from disaster to success, or fighting impossible odds draws the clan's attention. This fact results in a symptom known as too many chiefs, when the clan consists of more leaders than followers. Customs encourage fights for dominance, but these rarely last until final death. As Gangrel elders advocate against taking competition for authority personally, instead encouraging a culture of healthy rivalry. Malkavian, the fun ones. The Clan of the Moon, children of Malkav. Lunatics. It has long been the misconception that few kindred families are as disparate as the Clan of the Moon. Other clans see them and reason they are each mad, so why should their respective origins matter? To the Malkavians, origins matter a great deal. Though sires may pick children from all walks of life, age groups, ethnicities, and genders, every mortal selected for the embrace possesses something only visible to a Malkavian. One of the gifts that the Malkavians look for in a mortal is what they call second sight. If a person interprets dreams, can perceive spirits, or unerringly predicts future events, the Malkavians take notice. Such a person acts as a beacon, calling out to every member of the clan that sees them. Another gift revered by the Malkavians is that of insight, a high level of empathy, finely tuned knowledge of complex subject matter, or just an obsessive drive to pursue the answers to philosophical questions each appeal to the clan. As insight is often tied to profession, the clan benefits from a range of academics and doctors, especially therapists and psychologists. Finally, the Clan of the Moon are fascinated by the broken, individuals who have been changed by traumatic experiences or who were simply born slightly detached from themselves and the rest of society. To the Malkavians, they are but one gentle push away from having access to an altogether different plane of reality. Rather than treating them as burdens, the clan see them as having great potential. Malkavians suffer a mental illness following the embrace, sometimes accentuating on an existing condition, other times adding a new dimension to their instability. As if their thoughts and actions were based on otherworldly logic, there seems to be no knowing when their condition will manifest destructively or when it will offer important perspectives where such were previously lacking. As a rule, no other kindred feels completely comfortable around a known Malkavian, often viewing them as unpredictable maniacs whose flashes of insight are rarely worth the fits of insanity. Some Malkavians claim that there is a common factor to their madness, that they are all psychically linked through a communal wavelength, a shared consciousness of sorts. Those who are aware of its existence refer to it as the Cobweb, or more recently, the Madness Network. That's kind of funny. The Nosferatu, the clan of the hidden sewer rats. For the Nosferatu, the embrace is a journey through abjection, as the blood of the horror gradually deforms the struggling tissues of the human body into grotesque abominations. Weeks of pain result in deformities, similar to terrible birth defects, cancerous growths, crippling injuries, and leper-like sores. Those who endured find themselves as monstrous echoes of Murnau's silver screen vision. But perhaps pain and humiliation teaches compassion. The Nosferatu, as they jokingly call themselves, are the most humane of the kindred, wearing their curse on the outside rather than the inside. To blend in, some call on the blood to wear the borrowed faces of their victims or disappear from sight, while others rely on prosthetics and heavy makeup. The sewer rats enjoy grudging respect as the information brokers of the kindred, given their supernatural acumen and stealth and the fact that many kindred would rather ignore them than acknowledge them. Savvy Nosferatu exploit this for all it's worth, turning the hypocrisy of other vampires to their own profit. On the whole, the Nosferatu condition is lonely and alienating. How they react to the curse of Cain carries with their outlook and mental stamina. But it's hard to be an object of utter revulsion and not let it shape one's disposition towards one's kindred in some way. Some of the sewer rats are cruel, as blighted on the inside as they are on the outside, while others are tragic, wretched creatures who have been cursed with an eternal outsider status through no choice of their own. A few of the sewer rats even position themselves as prophets or avatars of the damned, physically embodying the haunting riddle, "A beast I am, lest a beast I become." So the Nosferatu are, honestly, arguably, one of the strongest clans in the vampire world, because they are the information brokers. In a game of politics and one-upping the others, like backstabbing and betrayal and all that, Nosferatu are surprisingly competent at this because, again, they are information brokers. They are the ones who know all the skeletons in the closets, the proverbial skeleton in the closets, and the fact that they are like super spies. They can, if they're powered up enough, like if their disciplines are high enough, they can actually look like other people. They can be hidden in plain sight. They got some really strong disciplines, and they're super fast too. Toreador, possibly my favorite class. The Clan of the Rose, Divas. Clan Toreador has ever preached selectiveness in its rituals of the embrace. The clan elders stress time and again that the clan requires pioneers among the arts and every kind of avant-garde. The clan is at its strongest when comprised of the freshest thinkers and those who desire experimentation and aesthetic discovery. For this reason, many Toreador emerge from the ranks of accomplished artists, both new and faded. But not all artists need wield a brush. To the Toreador, art encompasses all forms of entertainment and stimulation. If the clan courts the greatest actors, singers, writers, dancers, and even sex workers, if the degenerates believe such mortals will offer something new to their clan. Despite the custom of embracing only the best, the Toreador fixation on beauty and innocence has caused many a diva to make a fledgling in haste. Many a moonlit night, new clan members have emerged as shallow hedonists, one-hit wonders, or just a stunning body with nothing else to offer. The greatest mistakes are erased and forgotten. Still, the clan is diverse, its members considering the ensemble of as a kaleidoscope of talent and beauty. Tremere, probably my other favorite class. Usurpers, warlocks. After the Second Inquisition destroyed the Prime Chancery in Vienna in 2008, the Tremere fell from great eminences to persona non grata in many regions. The arrogance of the pyramid had made the usurpers few friends, but the need for sorcery has not disappeared. If anything, it grows as the cursed blood shifts in the veins of the kindred. Without the pyramid ordering them into rank and value, the warlocks find themselves competing with their fellow kindred, and increasingly with each other for anything that might allow them to regain some of their former power. A clan-wide chase for artifacts and grimoires belonging to their ashen ancestors rival the social intrigues in ugliness, and the alliance with the Camarilla is an oft-used weapon between the houses of Clan Tremere. Meanwhile, the term mercenary magus has become increasingly widespread, as warlocks who were formerly bound by the will of their masters find themselves free to serve for whatever price they choose. Tremere serve in three ways. The warlocks serve the other clans with occult expertise, they serve the Camarilla with blood sorcery, and they serve themselves with their missions to grasp power. Though more Tremere ascend to praxis these nights than ever before, they still claim fewer thrones worldwide than Clan Nosferatu. In truth, most warlocks acknowledge that becoming the prince is only useful if it helps them expand their knowledge. Tremere see true power as knowing the ways of shaping the world, having access to the right blood, and owning the rarest of ancient artifacts. As a Tremere ally with confused coteries seeking them out, hunt for well-protected relics and artifacts, or closely analyze fragments of lore relating to the Cainite mythos, all the while miserly guarding their secrets from each other, they are all united in their thirst for knowledge. A kindred who wishes to understand a piece of their history will do well to approach the Tremere for answers, as long as they are at peace with sharing a few secrets of their own, knowingly or otherwise. And the Ventru, the Clan of Kings, the Blue Bloods. Clan Ventru has long been the leaders of the Camarilla, holding up more positions of power than any other clan, and they are loath to give that up. Even after losing their most prominent representative to a Bruja assassination, the Ventru continue to maintain that they are destined to rule all kindred, no matter the sacrifices involved. The Ventru believe in the strength of tradition and lineage. The embrace is one of their most important rituals, and the choice of child affects the way other members of the clan treat the sire. Ventru, therefore, aim to embrace overachievers, politically or financially powerful kind, or those with talent that sets them apart from the masses. These nights, the Ventru are cautious. The talentless fall by the wayside, while the best blend in with humanity as bankers, shadow directors, reclusive moguls, and chiefs of staff. No longer can a Ventru openly lead a board or take a prominent position in a mortal community. They resent having to influence their surroundings from the shadows, but know that the risk of a fatal Masquerade breach is too high to risk anything else. The Ventru are the establishment. They set and maintain the rules, punishing those who break them, and occasionally rewarding those who follow. Their critics consider them tyrants or the jailers of other kindred. The uncomfortable truth is that without them, the Masquerade, and the Camarilla with it, would have fallen long ago. The Ventru are more loyal to their cause these nights than ever before, adversity only making them more determined to succeed and more certain that they have the right to do whatever it takes. So I'm guessing that our character here, I'm guessing she's a Ventru, considering she had presence. Or no, sorry. She's a Toreador. Ventru have dominance. Presence is a Toreador trait, if I remember correctly. Okay, let's go through the sects, the Camarilla and the Anarch. Oh, okay. The Prince, a vampire who has claimed a given expansive domain as their own, generally a city, and supports that claim against all others. The Red Salon, a low-profile and comfortable place where all the Boston kindred can afford it to go to enjoy mortals that have been expertly prepared by Dr. Richard Dunham. And the Primogen, representatives of the major Camarilla factions in the area. Whether they are clan elders or a gathering of those who hold the largest hunting grounds, they speak directly to the prince, who will do best by listening to their advice. More than one lord has been ousted by their own council. Okay, the Anarchs. The Baron. An Anarch leader ruling over a domain. This is the Anarch movement's equivalent of a prince. Interesting. So, okay. The Beasts. Every vampire possesses the Beast, a force within them that pushes them to serve their baser instincts. They are urges of violence and perversion that are constantly threatening to turn the vampire into a ravenous monster, completely devoid of reason. This is a real danger for the Masquerade. So, yeah, the Beast basically, for all intents and purposes, is the primal urge of a vampire. It's like the most primal form that they can take. In terms of their mindless creatures. Think of them as like zombies. Like they just can't hold it anymore. They just have to go and get blood. Just like zombies go after brains, right? Or flesh or whatever. And the way that works is if they lose blood. Like if they hunger for blood. If you're at like, I think 2 or 3 blood, that's when you kind of start being thirsty. Like the beast is like kind of wanting to come out. If you're at like 1 blood, the beast is basically like almost there. If you're at 0 blood, you will do whatever it takes to drink blood. I think kind of like a thirst, like for drinking water. If you were that starved for water, you will kill people to get a drink of water. It's basically life or death at that point. But for vampires, again, it's more of a primal urge. It's the beast within them waking up to get blood, whatever it takes. Blood bond. Anyone who drinks the fresh blood of a vampire becomes progressively more attached to their donor until finally, after 3 drinks or more, the bond reduces them to servile lackeys when in the donor's presence. Vampires call the one bonded the thrall, and term the source of the bond the regnant. When under a completed blood bond, the thrall experiences a sense of loyalty, sometimes even infatuation towards the regnant. They attempt to please their master, becoming wary and eventually even terrified of angering them. I haven't heard of this term regnant before. Blush of life. I've never heard of this before. Unless intentionally brought to a semblance of life, the body of a vampire is functionally dead. Undeath signifies its presence in the pale or ashy skin, cold blood, and lack of breath, so to speak, or a heartbeat. By sending the blood through the dead capillaries of their skin and into their shriveled heart, a vampire can appear completely human for a night, including but not limited to a heartbeat, body temperature, and breath. A vampire can even pass a cursory medical examination, though they still fail more intrusive screenings for minute tells such as the absence of intestinal flora. Yeah, makes sense, because they have no digestive system. Okay, so the blush of life, I guess that's what it's called. We've never really encountered this in the games before, but when the vampire wakes up, like they're thirsty, like they're thirsty for blood, and they look it, like they look pale, they look more corpse-like, I guess, until they fed and like, you know, blood is actually going through their system, and I guess that's the blush of life is what it's called. They look more human, basically. Vessel. Donor vulgar. Oh, I see. The source of blood for sustenance or pleasure, primarily mortal. Meat bags, basically. It's another term for meat bag. Coterie. A small group of kindred united by the need for support and sometimes common interests. Diablerie. Amaranth, archaic. So the archaic version is amaranth. An act reviled by most vampires. Diablerie involves drinking another vampire dry, ingesting not only their blood, but their very essence. Vampires with a religious bent speak of consuming the victim's very soul, and those who can sense auras can clearly see the stains afflicting the perpetrator. Yeah, so basically, as it says, like drinking another vampire dry, effectively killing them, like dead, is a very, 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 very big no-no in the vampire culture, in the Camarilla culture, actually. And why is that, you ask? Well, if they drink another vampire dry, ingesting their essence, what that means is you gain their power. So in vampire, there's a thing called generation, and we're actually getting to that soon. The lower the generation, the higher the generate, the lower the number in generation, the more powerful you are. So let's say a 5th generation vampire meets a 7th generation vampire. The 5th generation vampire is a lot more powerful than the 7th generation. And when I say a lot more powerful, I mean a lot more powerful. Like a 5th generation can probably, like if a 7th generation can pick up a car with his like hand, its 5th generation can probably juggle like multiple cars. You know what I mean? He's like that much more powerful. So if the 7th generation happens to kill the 5th generation by, drinking their blood and their life essence, he effectively becomes a 5th generation vampire. So it's a very big no-no, because if it was allowed, everyone would just be killing everyone. It would be like the Highlander. It would basically be there can be only one, you know. Embrace. The act of transforming a mortal into a vampire. The embrace requires a vampire to drain her victim and then replace that victim's blood with a bit of her own. Final death. Though no longer mortal, vampires still face the possibility of final death. A vampire who dies once again is said to have suffered the final death. In addition to fire, sunlight, and decapitation, vampire flesh cannot withstand endless traumatic force. Enough bullets can drive them into torpor. Once in torpor, the vampire becomes a helpless target for their foes. Torpor is basically when a vampire gets knocked into a coma, for all intents and purposes. They're just like out of it, like they can't move. They're unconscious. Generation. The number of steps between a vampire and the mythical Cain, how far descended from the first a given vampire is. A sire is 1 generation lower than their child. An 11th generation kindred sires a 12th generation vampire. All vampires gain their unholy prowess from the blood, but not all blood is equal. The closer a vampire is to their mythic progenitor Cain, the greater the potential of their vitae. A vampire's generation does not necessarily indicate their age. An elder might have sired a vampire of the 10th generation when Columbus sailed. A Methuselah could have begotten a vampire in the 6th generation last year. Don't worry about Methuselahs for now. Methuselahs and antediluvians, I doubt it'll come up. They're basically 3rd and 4th generation vampires that are at war with each other, but it doesn't matter. Ghouls. A mortal who drinks a vampire's blood becomes something more or less than human. For a time. Derisively called a ghoul by Western vampires, the mortal gains a smidgen of the power of a true vampire. The vitae consumed not only brings a rush, but also arrests the aging process. The effects are temporary, however, and if weaned off of vampire blood, the mortal deteriorates rapidly as the years catch up with their halted aging. Vampires use ghouls as retainers, where loyalty outweighs keeping the masquerade. Hunger. Part appetite, part lust, and part addiction. Hunger gives voice to the blood and claws to the beast. It calls to vampires constantly, whispering and screaming of needs, urges, and desires. Every vampire awakens to hunger and must kill to completely silence it. The kindred pay for their immortality and their powers in hunger, and the bill is always coming due. Kindred. A Cainite, which is the archaic term for it. The Camarilla term for vampires as a whole, or a single vampire. According to the rumor, this term came about the 15th or 16th century, after the Anarch Revolt. Masquerade. The great conspiracy hiding the existence of vampires from mortals, designed to protect vampires from destruction at the hands of mankind. The Masquerade was adopted after the medieval Inquisition claimed many kindred unlives. This is the only Camarilla tradition universally respected, but also the one that is broken most often. Sloppy feeding with witnesses, a vulgar display of undead might, a confession to a beloved mortal. These things happen, but kindred are expected to clean up after themselves, or they will be held to pay. The crime world code Snitches Get Stitches doesn't even begin to describe how seriously both the Camarilla and the Anarchs take the Masquerade. In the age of social media, clickbait, and fake news, a Masquerade's breach is easily overlooked by the masses, but any transgression can end with a Black Ops team kicking in the Haven door. Only the craziest of canine superiority fanatics dream of an age where they can rule openly. The rest have faced reality. The undead fare better as parasitic powers behind the throne than as great predators or infernal lords of human dominions. The Hartford Chantry. While New England certainly isn't lacking in vampire strongholds, the Hartford Chantry is the most famous Tremere haven, a direct rival to the Salem Chantry. Hartford has held its own for several centuries, during which it was subject to infighting, enemy attacks, and turf wars. Its influence, which fluctuated over the years, greatly increased under the reign of John Reese, who led the domain until 2014. His successor, Deneb Osborne, seems intent on maintaining the same momentum in the years to come, as demonstrated by the recent détente between Hartford and Boston. Okay. Retainer. A mortal in the service of a vampire, commonly a ghoul. The terms are usually interchangeable, with retainer being the polite choice. And the Institute. The kindred must blend in among the mortal masses. Some Malkavians believe they need to be treated in order to do this, by reducing the delusions that make them stand out. The previous Prince of Boston, Quentin King, created an asylum where members of his clan could seek treatment, the Institute. Okay. So talents. Talents increase your abilities. Each talent is tied to a specific action. Repeating these actions will progressively unlock the tiers of a talent. Okay, that's interesting to note. Rhetorician? Using the rhetoric skill increases its effectiveness. Interesting. Okay, traits. Yeah, she is a Toreador. M.M. Lewis. Traits are positive or negative effects that influence the abilities of the character in question. Traits are only revealed once they have been earned as a result of an action, a character's choice, or a consequence. Hunger. The hunger level, whether low or high, confers temporary traits that affect the character's abilities. As it rises, the suspicion rating creates more negative traits that increase the difficulty faced by the characters. So right now, I got to put in her place when I was being yelled at by April. MM has encountered others more powerful than her, for now. Something to strengthen her mind for future challenges. Effect. -10 to the next experience cost for the mental attribute. Damn. Wait. -10 to the next experience cost for the mental attribute. Oh, so wait, is that a good thing? Because it's an experience cost. Okay. So hunger. The beast is near. So plus 10% success rate in intimidation tie, minus 10% success rate in psychology tie. Alright. Boston. So M.M. Lewis, founder of the Black Rattlers. Clan Toreador, Generation 12th, date of embrace 1929, sires Hilda McAndrews. Men of Bronze. Born in Harlem in 1901, M.M. grew up in a family of poor African-American performers. Her father, Mason, was a musician by night and window washer by day. Her mother, Clara, sang when she was not taking care of her 4 children. When he was drafted in 1917, MM's father enlisted in the 15th Regiment of the New York National Guard, the Harlem Hellfighters, and participated in the liberation of France. He joined a jazz band in his unit until it became a phenomenal success after the war ended. Pathé Studios had them record an album, which would become the first jazz record to be played non-stop on French phonographs. Following this success, Mason decided to bring his family to Paris and to make a living playing his music in the jazz clubs that were beginning to sprout up throughout the capital. Paris. Was 17 years old and a dancer. She spent time with the elite who would come to listen to her father, and it took little time for her to get noticed. She discovered the Folies Bergères and their international show. She auditioned for it and passed with flying colors. From odd jobs backstage to subbing in for other performers, she proved herself and became a headline act at just 21 years old. Her burlesque stripping act took Paris by storm, making her extremely popular. began traveling through Europe, dancing to packed houses in the hottest cabarets. Was young, beautiful, and radiant. Her life was the night, as the champagne and money flowed. She was determined and alluring, the embodiment of a free and independent woman in the early 20th century. She had a fiery temperament that soon attracted the attention of Europe's divas. To Die in Your Arms. December 1923. performed 8 times at the Vienna Carl Theater. On the first night, she was introduced to Hilda McAndrews by the theater director outside her dressing room. Was immediately captivated by this mysterious aristocrat who attended each of her performances. They spent the nights that followed in bars exchanging stories about their lives and their art, their passions and their struggles. Hilda was cultured, charismatic, and politically engaged in the suffragette movement and the women's artistic community. to her surprise, fell under her spell and gave in to this irresistible attraction. A passionate relationship formed right away between the two women, who became inseparable. Hilda confided in and told her about her vampiric nature over the course of the next 3 years. For their love to endure, but also seduced by the promise of eternal youth, asked to be sired right away. It would take yet another 3 years, however, before Hilda managed to get the local prince to agree to it. The prince feared that the young woman's notoriety could be a danger to the masquerade. With the prince's blessing at last, Hilda threw a spectacular celebration in honor of her companion, whom she would embrace at the end of this memorable evening. The sound of boots. Having lived in Vienna since their meeting at the Carl Theater, Hilda and left Austria in 1934 for Paris, then Bordeaux. Alas, France's surrender in 1940 forced the couple to reconsider their plans. With the help of her contacts in London, Hilda managed to negotiate a crossing to Boston, her hometown. Though hesitant at first, the city's Malkavian prince, Quentin King, finally granted them asylum. and Hilda were introduced to the court, where 50 years of intrigue would bring their passion to its inevitable end. So it looks like we also have Caleb and Leisha's bios, but we'll hold off on those until we actually play as them. Okay, April. Toreador. I'm not going to read it, just because I'm tired of reading. You can just pause it. And the Codex, which we've already been through. Disciplines we don't have yet. Okay. Enough of this. Let's get back to the game. That was very long.
It's gonna be a long night.
Miss Lewis, welcome.
Thank you. Is there a run? There is a run. I do not know about it.
Consider it done.
That'll do.
Who's she, Caleb?
MM Lewis.
She smiles like a toreador.
Letters etched in bold right upon her teeth.
What about that bearded guy who's swallowing his bile?
Dejan Siaka.
A Tremere warlock, then?
Keep him at a healthy distance. With a sideward glance, he could make the blood in your veins boil.
Is court attendance usually this sparse?
There usually are more of us.
Under ordinary circumstances, there would be more of us here.
Is it because of the Code Red?
Could be. We should have all been at that party. But a Code Red is a Code Red. No one can leave. I'd hate to be Caius right about now.
Why?
He's second honcho of house security. This promises to be a busy night.
I know what you mean. It's one thing to have been told that the Nosferatu don't age well. It's another thing to see it for yourself.
It's by no fault of their own.
Do you think you'll be able to ask the prince tonight if you can embrace me?
No. Now is no longer the time.
And he is your child?
Mr. Beryl Underwood.
He's one of the members of the Primogen.
Tread lightly. He's a member of the Primogen.
They're the check to the prince's power.
The check and balance. They backed Hazel when she rose to power after Quentin King. They'd hoped to control her.
What? Things didn't go as planned?
I just have a feeling she will surprise them. Never forget that the court is a chessboard. We are monsters, and we sacrifice pawns. If you want to be a major piece, then behave accordingly.
But...
Nothing can happen to you here. We're in the prince's house. She must be finished by now. Wait for me. This won't take long.
It's out of the question, MM! I won't let her get away with this!
All right. Calm down, Dejan.
Where's Journey?
What's it to you?
Don't start with me. She was in charge of the party. She has to take responsibility for this.
Leave her out of it.
It's too late for that. Don't waste your time covering for her. She's not a kid anymore. I haven't heard from my child, and no one's able to get through to them over there.
Go on then. Go and save Imani and stop wasting your breath.
There are rules. Need I remind you? We're all stuck here.
You're such a good boy.
You'll never change.
Dejan!
What? Oh, come on, Hilda, she needs to grow up.
Leave us.
Wow, Hilda is, packing.
I don't need your help.
Mem, please.
Stop calling me that.
I was worried about you.
You still haven't moved on, have you? You're always getting in my way.
Lower your voice. People are staring.
Focus allows you to temporarily increase a skill by 1 or 2 levels. The more you increase your focus, the more the willpower cost increases. To be focused, a skill must have a minimum score of 1 point. Disciplines or knowledges cannot be focused. Okay. If the skill or discipline levels are the same, the outcome of the conflict is uncertain. The chance of victory can be influenced by spending a number of bonuses or penalties, as well as spending experience points. So I don't have intimidation, it has to be rhetoric. Guess I'm using 6. Does she know anything about the Code Red? What? Oh, that's bullshit. Your opponents can also focus their own skills. Unlike you, focus only allows them to increase their skill level by 1. The risk of opponent focus is represented by percentage. The more aggressive you are, skill focus uses disciplines, the more risk of opponent focus increases.
Do you know what this Code Red is all about? You're in the Primogen. You must know something.
I'm in the same boat as the rest of you. Apparently, it was from one of Moore's retainers. That's all I know.
Who's that?
Jason Moore. Don't you remember him? He's the human who manages our interests when the sun comes up. He handles our assets, errands with the banks.
What does he have to do with this?
I don't know. It now seems that Miss Hazel Iverson, the mighty Prince of Boston, is no longer on speaking terms with the Primogen. As if now were the ideal time.
She asked to see me. Do you know why?
My best guess is that she'd like to talk to you about Journey. Of course. I always warned you that girl was trouble.
Yeah, sure. I've gotta go. Hazel must be upstairs. I'd better hurry.
What about Jara? I haven't seen her.
Councillor Drury is not here, nor is Dr. Dunham. Mr. Leto's teams are trying to reach them, but...
Nobody's answering?
No. Shitty night, huh?
Lazarus Sheridan.
Is there a problem?
They've all got such long faces. Hey, Abby.
Hey, MM.
What does she know about the Code Red?
Abby, do you know what's going on?
I'm sorry, but I can't.
Please? I feel like I've been plopped down in the middle of a minefield.
There are rumors about Journey. Rumors about how this is all her fault.
Did you know that Jay was in charge of the party?
Shit. I bet she's gonna take the fall for whatever happened.
I don't think she's involved, but we've got to be on our guard.
Ma'am, we haven't seen you here in ages now, have we?
It's because of the Code Red.
Let's holster our weapons. I'm only here because of that goddamn Code Red.
Blunt and to the point, as usual. With a bit of luck, your suffering will be over soon. How's business these days?
Why? You wanna invest?
Don't tempt me.
Why is he interested? I don't have enough. I have like 0% in like all of it.
I'm shocked to think you put so much as a penny into one of my clubs. They don't bring in enough for your taste, Beryl.
You're right. I'm not interested in them. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to be alone. I'm waiting for Caleb.
By the way, don't worry if you feel like there's so much information coming at you and you don't know what's going on. I'm kind of in the same boat, because I don't know any of these people. Go to the prince's floor.
What a shitty night. Hazel must be pissed. What the hell could she want with me?
Okay. Unstable seer. So she's a Malkavian.
Is everything okay, Mom? Penny for your thoughts?
Nothing, Pumpkin. What were you saying?
You saw pictures again? You're not going back to the Institute, are you?
No, don't fret. I'm gonna stay here with you now.
I don't like it when Richard takes you away.
He's my psychiatrist. He's helping me so I can be with you.
Mom has a little trouble sometimes, remember?
I see things that haven't happened yet. And I forget others.
Yes, I know. And you have to slumber so you can rest all alone sometimes. But 3 years was too long.
I miss her so much.
It seemed like an eternity without you.
I missed you too, Mom.
I need my sweet little monster.
Mom? What's going on? Why does everybody look so upset?
I think something serious is happening. I'm worried. I still haven't seen Richard. I looked for him so he could explain, but he can't be found.
So what do we do now?
I was told to wait here because Hazel wants to see us.
There are grown-ups coming, and your mother needs to talk to them.
Oh, then I'll go hide, because grown-ups talk to me too much.
If you want, sweetie. But don't wander off. Go on.
Show me what you do to make sure no one spots you.
Okay, here I go.
Oh, she's a vampire too. That is interesting.
Leisha. It's been a while. Hey, MM. When did you get out?
Just tonight. Hazel wanted to see me.
That means she's extremely worried about the situation.
That, or she's a major drama queen.
MM doesn't realize how serious it is.
You shouldn't make light of the situation. Believe me, there aren't many of us who have experienced a code red and survived.
Thanks for the heads up, Professor Bazori. First Siaka, now you. Why won't anybody give me a break tonight?
Maybe you asked for it.
Or maybe if you behaved in a manner more appropriate to the circumstances and our setting, then you'd better understand why everyone is so nervous.
He's got no business lecturing me.
Stop it right there, Bazori. Don't take that tone with me. I choose what lessons to take.
We must all remain calm and accept any help we can get, even from the most unusual sources.
That's surprising to hear, coming from a blue blood. At least your certainties come from a more solid source than a prophecy from a child of Malkov.
You don't know what you're talking about.
All I'm saying is that whatever the problem is, your hallucinations aren't gonna help us solve it.
Wow, that was cold. MM can believe whatever she wants. I don't care.
And yet, many of the things I saw ended up happening. Quentin King's disappearance, Hazel's rise to power, your breakup with Hilda too. But you're probably right. It's just Hazel and her flair for the dramatic.
Only time will tell.
Good evening, ladies, sir. The prince shall see you now.
So the rebellious star, the diva who lights up Boston nights, but bringing light into a world of darkness can be perilous. MM knows this, but she doesn't care. Choose a profile. Investigator. Profile that focuses on knowledge and skills that allow you to go undercover, extort, or steal information. Jack of all trades. Profile that focuses on improving attributes and a large selection of skills. It allows for a maximum number of interactions, but with less mastery. Veteran. Profile that focuses on dialogue skills and physical attributes. It allows you to use the character's aura in conversation. Or free. Profile with no pre-attributed points. I mean, in keeping true with the Toreador clan skills, the veteran makes the most sense. Because Toreador are more charismatic and a little bit more cerebral than anything else. But I do like the Jack of all trades as well, with less mastery. Investigator. You know what? I'm going to go with veteran. At the start of a scene, previously earned experience points can be spent to improve the character's abilities. These abilities are divided into two areas, the character sheet and the discipline sheet. Attributes. Each attribute affects a specific list of skills and disciplines. Attributes increase the chance of victory in case of a tie. Improving them also decreases the willpower cost of focus. Knowledge. The use of knowledge skills do not have a willpower cost. They cannot be improved by using focus. So the discipline menu. Discipline sheet contains the disciplines the character possesses. Experience points invested in discipline increase the level and can provide additional powers. Discipline powers can be passive and may be used in dialogue or in exploration. So I have 5 available experience points. So this costs 10. This costs 30. So I can't do anything here because these cost way too much. Disciplines. What can I increase? So I have Aspect, Celerity, and Presence. That costs 45. Oh, I have Celerity too. I see, because there's points there. Okay, so the amount of points I have doesn't do anything, I don't think. Yeah, I don't have enough points for anything. I can increase my mental. I might as well. Okay. Oh. The tattoo looks like a swan.
Hazel. Delson. Come in, MM.
I'm guessing that's the sheriff.
I wanted to have a word with you.
What can I do for you?
I'm glad you're here. It's been a long time since we last saw each other. Tell me, where were you tonight?
Like everybody else, I suppose. At home, getting ready for the party.
How fortunate you weren't running early.
Why? What's happened?
You know what the Code Red means. There was a breach. This is intolerable. These agreements were supposed to celebrate the power of my court. Instead, I've been made to look a fool in the eyes of my allies. We'll have to increase our diplomatic efforts with the Warlocks. Send new emissaries to Osborne.
What's that got to do with me?
Don't you worry about that for now. We have more urgent matters to attend to. We bring Journey to me.
I'm gonna try and defend her.
She hasn't done anything. Hazel.
I'll be the judge of that.
What do you want with her?
I have a few questions I need to ask her. If mistakes were made, I need to know what happened. I'm sure that your friend will have a lot to tell me.
All right.
Yes, my prince. I'll be right back.
I didn't bring you here just for that. I have something to offer you.
I'm listening.
It's about the Primogen Council. You know everyone who's in it. Beryl, Richard, Hilda. Their support was much appreciated after the disappearance of the previous prince.
Quentin King.
But now, they've become an obstacle. It's been going on for months. They systematically oppose everything that I do. It must stop now.
Education. I don't have education, so I'm going to keep silent.
The Camarilla has faced many challenges in the past few years. Many of our strongholds have fallen. I won't let Boston suffer the same fate, but for that, I need loyal allies. Also, how would you like a spot in the Primogen?
What?
You've always taken care of your community, without ever asking for anything in return. It might be time you took a leading role in the community's affairs.
Hilda won't let you do it. She'll never see me as her equal. Being seated next to her child? She'll feel humiliated.
I'm her prince. She will obey me.
She's not gonna like it.
I don't care. What I'm offering is much bigger than all that. What do you think?
I need to think about it.
I don't know. I need to think about it.
Time is of the essence. You're a businesswoman, I know you'll be up to it, but we'll talk about it again soon. In the meantime...
I know. Jay, I'm going to go see Sylvia first. I need to clear my head.
Do it. You won't be able to hunt tonight. It's better to be prepared. Bring me Journey.
I will.
I have the utmost confidence in you, Do not fail me.
You can count on me. What the hell is going on?
I'm happy to see you in one piece.
Hey, Syl. I'd like some refreshment, please.
Of course, I'll get you a glass.
I was thinking more like a vessel.
Oh, serve yourself. But try not to damage them, okay? They're all I've got left in stock.
I get it, I'll be careful.
I'm right here if you need anything else.
Safe zone. The hunt. A safe zone is a place where no one can see you feed. You can find them by exploring the surroundings. Only one prey may be sent to a safe zone at a time.
No news from anyone.
Do you think they're...
Now's not the time to be thinking about that. We're not the only ones freaking out. Look around.
Exactly. We've got to keep our wits about us. Got it?
Yeah.
Alright, and that's actually going to do it for this episode. I'm intrigued already as to what's going on. There's clearly been some kind of murder that we're not privy to yet. And it looks like Leishi has already had some kind of premonition that most, if not all of us, are going to die at some point tonight. But we'll see how it goes in the coming episodes. Hope you guys are enjoying the playthrough so far. I know it's been pretty heavy with the narrative, like just me reading stuff from the codex. But again, this slowly we're going to kind of get into it. This is more of a slow-paced game, nothing action-based, so it's going to be a slower-paced game, as I mentioned. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the playthrough so far. As I said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.